Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Glennis Waters. I'm the Executive Director of Benefits here at GIOA. We are so excited for you to join us today for our training topic. We are talking today about our upcoming dependent verification process. So today's training is targeted towards operators, leaders, and admins for your stores, just so we can make you aware of what will be going on starting on Monday, June 15th. If you did not know, operators were sent a preliminary text on Tuesday, June 9th, so this past Tuesday, that gave you a little bit of a preview into what's about to happen for both operators and team members. So as we go through today, we will give you some background information and give you a timeline that you can use that will be helpful as you help yourself and your team members navigate through the process. So, as a quick reminder, dependent verification is basically where we are validating the eligibility of the people in our plan. And this would not be for team members and operators for you specifically because we know you are eligible, but it's specifically asking about eligibility for your children and your spouses. Now, some of you may say, I was just asked about my children and my spouses. We do ongoing dependent verification for new hires or during open enrollment that capture your dependents that you add during those periods. But after that, we don't audit them. Plans typically will audit their dependents about every 5 years. And so we just had our fifth birthday. So this is our very first mass dependent verification audit for GIOA. And really, it's just making sure that our plans are compliant. So there's compliance involved with it to ensure that the people who are eligible are based on the definition of our plans and that those people using the benefits are actually eligible as they're using the benefits there. So there's two components to the dependent verification, and we're primarily focused on the compliance piece of that eligibility. All right, so here's where it gets a little bit tricky. For your team members, we have acquired a company called Aptia to help us with this audit. We have partnered with them. They will be the ones sending the emails and the letters to your team members. They will be hosting the call center that your team members will call into if they need help, and they will be in charge of collecting the documentation that your team members need to submit. So, again, for all team members, it is Aptia. If you are an operator, my team, myself, Maddie Mordenti, Cindy Moultrie, and Ben Marshall, along with our GIOA Help Center, so that whole GIOA HR team, we will be the ones managing the verification of your documentation when you do your upcoming pre-strategy work. And that was a part of that announcement that went out last Tuesday on the 9th. So team members, they will go through Aptia. Operators, you will go through your GIOA pre-strategy work and submit your information there. Now, this is super important because the process will be different for operators, because the documents required are different for operators. Please always refer your team members back to Aptia. Don't try to help them based on what you're doing for yourself because it is going to be different documentation, different submission process, and different system for team members. We do have a couple samples of that today, and I will be sure to go through that with you at a high level just so you know what it looks like. But we do not anticipate you actually navigating anybody through the Aptia portal. Now let's talk a little bit about timelines. So that we level set, anybody who had any type of dependent on the plan as of May 15th has been locked in to be audited. So that's all team members and operators who had a dependent on the plan as of May 15th or earlier. That report was provided to Aptia. We have that report here in GIOA HR, and those are the team members that we're looking to verify. On Monday, June 15th, letters and emails will start to be distributed to your team members. So some of them may get them on the 16th. Don't be alarmed if they don't see something until the 16th. It's around the time frame. And this letter is very detailed. We have a sample of it, and I will show it to you. It tells the team member everything that they need to do for their audit. Again, this is specific to team members only. The team member verification window will begin on June 16th and it will go through July 27th. So during that time, they will get several emails, several letters, all to their home address on file in payroll. So if their home address is incorrect, then their letters will go to the wrong spot, but they still should get an email. Okay. All of their required documentation, which will be listed on the letter, will be needed to be submitted to Aptia no later than July 27th. Okay, and they will have a couple of ways that they can submit that documentation. We really want to make sure we make it easy for team members as possible because it is sensitive information that does need to get submitted. About midway through that process, again, reminders, emails, letters are going out to team members saying, hey, don't forget to do this, or you only submit it for one person, you haven't submitted it for both people. Also, team members will have the ability to respond to Aptia to say, oh, this is no longer my spouse, or this is not my dependent, and be able to communicate that to Aptia. So at the end of the process, we can remove that person who's no longer an eligible dependent for that team member. There is a dedicated call center. I mentioned this earlier that team members will be able to call if they need help with their DEV questions. This information will be emailed out to you, and it is in the letters and emails that go out to team members. It will also be on your GIOA.info dashboard portal in the communication station for you to have access to if you need to give it to a team member. But again, this information will be supplied in the many communications that they receive. So what happens after July 27th? We go into a finalization period. So during this time, we'll look at the reports, see if anybody's outstanding that may need a little bit more time to submit, review all the dependents that need to be removed. And then after that, on September 15th, that is the finalization of the data. At that point, your team members will be notified their dependents are coming off the plan, and we will remove those dependents off by September 30th. That is a hard date because we need to have the open enrollment system cleared of ineligible dependents before we enroll for 2027. Okay, so that September 30th date is the last day of coverage that any ineligible dependents will have on the plan. So what does I ask of operators and admins? First, for operators and admins and your leadership teams, we simply ask that you be aware that the project is actually happening for your team members. We're going to provide you next week on the 15th a list of your impacted team members just so you can have it as a reference. So if your team member comes to you and they say, oh, I got this letter from Aptia, I got this email from Aptia, is this fraudulent? No, it is not fraudulent. We are actually conducting an audit. We have also alerted CFA Inc. that we are conducting the audit as well. So just in case somebody calls up there, they are no, refer them back to GIOA. We are doing an audit. So everyone should know that this audit is happening. So just be aware and redirect them to Aptia for any and all questions that they have. The next thing that we ask is if you are an operator with dependents on the plan, please complete your pre-strategy work that begins on Monday, June 22nd. There are details in your pre-strategy work that tells you what you need to upload and how long you have to upload it. If you have any questions about that, the GIOA HR team, we are here to help you through that. Just call through the GIOA 411 Help Center and we will get all of your questions answered for your submission. So again, team members Aptia, operators GIOA 411. Now let's go into some sample communications that your team members will receive. So on the left-hand side of the screen where you see this geared up logo, that is the letter sample that team members will receive. It's actually a 6-page letter because it actually includes a copy of the FAQs that you will see on the right-hand side of the screen. Inside of your GIOA operator portal in the communication station, as well as inside of your pre-strategy workflow, copies of this information is there for you. If you are an admin or a leader, we have emailed you copies of this, so just so you can have in your pocket. Quickly note, do not distribute this sample letter to any team member. It has been watermarked sample because each letter is specific to your team members. In their letters, they will have a copy of their identification number, their audit ID, and they will need this to register for the site to upload their information for security purposes since we are dealing with sensitive documentation. So this is just a sample so you know what it looks like, but again, each letter is specific to each team member. The FAQs on this side of the screen, on the right-hand side here, are very specific. Again, they're applied to every situation. It has the phone number, how you upload information, also how to find information that you need. It talks about who is eligible. So this is information that will be really helpful for any questions that your team members may have. But again, if they need to speak with somebody, we do have a call center with Aptia available for questions. And we also have a chat feature inside of the upload portal for team members. We talked about submitting documentation. So there are two ways your team members can submit documentation. The first way is to upload into the secure portal, which I'm going to demo for you before we get off of this training. The second way is to just respond to the pre-addressed envelope that will be provided to team members in that initial letter. So you got to allow some time for the snail mail to get there. We know we said 2 to 3, but USPS has been running a little bit slow. So just keep in mind if your team members decide to mail it in, they will have to give time for everything to be uploaded. I do suggest that they try the portal because then you can see the status of if you've missed somebody, what already has been submitted, and where your documentations are. But we do provide a pre-addressed envelope for those who just prefer to mail in the documentation. Inside of that letter, there's a document checklist that tells you what we need to verify, and also where you can find information that you don't know how to locate or if you've lost something. Keep in mind, you can also certify, your team members can certify their dependents with their tax information that shows who is an official dependent of that person. But if you do submit that, only give us the page that shows the dependent eligibility, and don't forget to redact any social security numbers on that page. Let's take a quick look at the system for team members. It is web enabled, tablet enabled, and mobile enabled for your team members. So they should be able to also do this from their cell phones. If they don't have a computer, it's really super easy. They will need that initial letter I showed you a sample of in order to register, because you see that they will need their audit ID in order to register for the portal. So this right here is the screenshot of what the system will look like when they first go there. What they need to do is register for the system. So first-time users click the need password link and you need to register. So registration looks like this, okay? So step one, they will need to enter the audit ID from the letter. This is why I said they will need their letter, their date of birth, and then they're verified that little, type the letters you see in this box on the right-hand side, and then they'll be prompted to register for the system. That's when they'll create their username and their password. We do want it to be secure. It is super important because a lot of this data is sensitive and we do not want to ever have that data in an unsecure platform, which is why we are really stressing security on this system. So after they do that, they will have to go through the multi-factor authentication registration where you tell us, the team member will tell us how they want to submit their contact information. If they want to be multi-identified by email or phone, and then providing that information so that when they log into the system, it will give them kind of, confirm as you code, okay? And that is needed in order to verify access into the system. Once they do that, we're going to set some security questions in place because they may forget their password. This is not a system they will use frequently. And so they may forget the password that they set. So there's a set of security questions again, just to make sure we have a layer of added security because the information being uploaded into this portal is very secure and private. So we don't want that to get out where it doesn't need to be, which is why we have extra security in the system. Once they've done their complete registration process, they will be taken to their personal information tab. As you can see on this screen, ours will say GIOA. This is a sample screenshot, but their name will appear at the top. This audit ID number should match to the audit ID number on their initial letter that they use to register for the portal, okay? It will tell them the status of their submission, if it's in progress, not started, or complete. Here's that little chat feature I told you that follows them around. So if they get stuck, they can ask questions right there. So the first tab on here is going to be their personal information. Just want to make sure all that information is correct for them. The second tab will show their dependents. So in this particular example, this person has 3 dependents. And so it will show each dependent, it will tell them what kind of dependent they are and what information is needed. Okay. In the next tab for communication, team members will have access to copies of everything sent to them on the left-hand side of the communication area. And on the right-hand side, it'll show all the documents they have uploaded into the portal to verify their dependent. So this is a good place to kind of have that balance of what they've received and what they've submitted. When we're looking at the upload tab, again, it's going to have, when you look at this right here, you can browse your files, what's submitted. You can look at it, open it, click it, see what you've actually put into place, all on this particular section. We do have a screenshot of what it looks like to upload the actual documents. So when they're on their phones or their computers or their tablets, they can browse the files by clicking this, find the name. It could be a PDF, it could be a JPEG, but it does need to be able to be imported into the system. They're going to browse, attach the name, hit submit, okay? You will get a confirmation that your upload was successful. If you don't see that, your upload was not successful. And then under your images, that screenshot I showed you prior, so back here, this is where you will see where your documents have been uploaded into the system. So pretty easy there, but this is a blown out version of what team members will experience, okay? And then the last tab, the helpful information tab, that's just links to resources if people have lost documentation, don't know where to find it. The copy of our FAQ I showed you earlier will be listed here. Our verification requirements will be listed here. And again, both of these pieces of information will be provided to your team members in their initial letters as well. And then you as operators have this information on your GIOA.info portal of what your team members will receive and see. So you have a sample piece of it as well. But this is where they can come in for any helpful information, tips, or links that they need if they have questions on where to find copies of documentation. So that is the end of our presentation today. We super appreciate you. We thank you for helping us through this process. Again, what are we asking of you? To just be aware that this is happening for your team members and redirect them to Aptia. If you have any questions about your own submission as an operator through your pre-strategy work, please give us a call in the GIOA 411 help area. Once again, this process kicks off next week. And so we are excited to begin this process, and we are here for any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for watching our presentation today, and have a wonderful weekend.